The Frog Prince. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess, the most spoiled princess that had ever lived. She had a golden dress, a golden crown, a golden plate, and a golden bed. Her favorite thing of all was her small golden ball. She played with it in the garden for hours, bouncing it off the ground. But one day it bounced too far away, out of the garden into the woods, down the old well. "Oh no!" the princess cried, as she ran to it and saw how deep it was. What was she to do now? "I can go down the well and get it for you," she heard a strange squeaky voice. She looked around the woods, but no one was there, except for one small, green, ugly frog sitting on the top of the well. "But what will I get in return?" it smiled. "Anything," yelled the princess, offering her dresses, her jewels, and her pearl. But the frog did not wear dresses, not jewels, not pearl. So it asked for something else instead. "I want to live with you and be your friend, eat in your golden plate and sleep in your golden bed." And the princess agreed, for she really wanted her ball back. So the frog spread out its leg and hopped into the deep well, splashing the water all around, and came up quickly back again with the golden ball in its tiny hands. The princess was overjoyed. She jumped on her feet, grabbed the ball, and ran away, forgetting all about the promise she had made. Dinner came at the princess' home, and she joined her father and sisters on the table. But just as they were about to start, they heard 3 knocks at the door. "I am here, dear princess," she heard a familiar squeaky voice. "I am here to live with you and be your friend, just like you promised." The king heard that and scolded his daughter, for he believed a promise had to be kept. So she opened the door, and just as she did, the small green frog hopped inside and castled. It was seated right next to her, and it ate out of her golden plate, just as promised. But as night fell, and it asked to be brought up to her bed, the princess could not take it anymore. "A dirty, disgusting frog in a prince's bed!" she screamed in anger. She picked up the frog and threw it to the wall. In the blink of an eye, the frog disappeared. The princess rubbed her eyes as she saw the handsome, beautiful prince sitting in its place. "I was enchanted by an evil witch," he explained, rubbing his hand where it had hit the wall. "A long time ago, but you have somehow broken the spell." They fell in love that summer and got married that fall, and moved to the prince's beautiful castle. The princess still had her golden ball, but now their children were playing with it in the garden. And they lived happily ever after, forever thankful to the king. The Princess and the Soul. A very long time ago, there lived a king and his 3 daughters. One day, the king wanted to find out which of his daughters loved him the most. So he called to his daughters and asked, "How much do each of you love me, my dears?" The eldest daughter replied, "I love you as much as I love gold." The king was happy. The second one replied, "I love you as much as I love diamonds." On hearing this, the king was even happier. But the youngest daughter said, I love you as much I love salt, dear father.
On hearing this, the king was furious. How can you say something like that? He shouted at his youngest daughter. In your eyes, my well is only as much as mere salt. He was so angry and humiliated that he banished his youngest daughter to the forest. Sad and rejected, the princess began to wander in the forest when suddenly she heard the sound of the horse's hooves galloping towards her. Frightened princess hid in the hollow of a tree. The horse halted near the tree and a handsome young man alighted. He had seen the princess hiding behind the tree. I am wealthy merchant, said the young man, and I live in the neighboring kingdom. What are you doing all alone in this dense forest? The princess then told him her story.
I love my father very much, but he does not understand.
She sobbed. One day he will, consoled the merchant. They quickly fell in love and soon they were married. The wealthy merchant brought the youngest princess as his bride to live with him in his mansion. Then one day the king lost his way while hunting. For 2 days he wandered in the forest. Then, as fate would have it, he reached the mansion of the merchant. Hungry and tired, he approached the merchant, presented himself and sought the young man's help. Although the merchant knew the king was none other than his wife's father, he kept quiet about it. I shall arrange food for you, your majesty, he said. The merchant then went to his wife, the princess, and told her about her father's arrival. The princess decided to do the cooking herself and quickly dismissed the cooks. Not long thereafter, a big feast was presented to the king. Starving, he quickly began eating, but then he realized that the food had absolutely no taste. What is this? I cannot imagine that someone could ever eat this food like this, said the king as he demanded to speak with the cook. Immediately, to his astonishment, there stood his daughter in front of him. The princess said, Hello, father. Your food is horrible because it does not have salt in it. Your life would be terrible without salt, would not it? Do you understand now how much I love you? The king held his daughter in his arms and apologized to her, promising never to doubt the love she had for him ever again. And that's the end of this fairy tale.